This is John Quinn, and this is Law Disrupted. And this is the first of a series of interviews we're doing with associates at different stages of their career in our law firm. And we're starting out with a first-year associate in our Los Angeles office here, Homin Ban, who I first met in Seoul a couple of years ago when I think you were a summer associate.
Yeah, a 1L summer.
A 1L summer.
Yes.
Was that during the pandemic that we met over there?
Yeah, that was just when the pandemic started. So really interesting because I interviewed at Quinn in February, and that was 1 month before the pandemic broke out. And then afterwards, it's all been remote. So I did my summer internship in Korea, and John visited me, and we had a great coffee chat. So
I visited you, and I was there at a big law firm there, Kim & Chang, doing a presentation, and that's where we first met.
Yep.
And now you're officially a first-year associate at our firm?
Yep, I joined in October, so it's been 6 months, so half a year.
How's it going?
Well, I mean, it's a little surreal. I can't believe it's already been 6 months. I think it's such an interesting time to be a first-year associate because
How so?
Everything is new. So the pandemic, obviously, that was world-shattering for us. Like, we were in law school, and then, the next day we were sort of told to, go home and go remote, and that was a wild change. And then once I joined, there's just so many things going on, like with AI and everything, and it's a very interesting time because everything is changing, right? And as a first-year associate especially, because I'm already trying to learn new things, you add all the AI and the COVID pandemic, it's a lot, but it's been fun.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
So at our firm, of course, we have a policy, for the indefinite future, anybody can work from anywhere. Are you coming into the office, or are you working from home, or kind of a mix?
Well, I actually live about 8 minutes from the firm. So I walk to the firm. I try to come in.
There can't be that many people in LA who walk to work.
I think I'm the only one that I've seen walking to the firm. But it's I try to come in 3-4 times a week when I can. I think it's nice because you get to meet people. I kind of had because I wasn't. So I summered 2 summers in a row at Quinn Emanuel, but I never got to be in the firm.
Physically? You didn't get together. That must have been really strange.
Yeah, because I was always in Korea, and my work hours were midnight to 9 a.m., right? So that was a bizarre experience. But I've kind of had a longing to come into the firm and to just sort of be here physically. So I rented out an apartment nearby, and I try to come in often. So
that's great.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say the policy, it's been really nice because there are some days where you just...
You get out of bed, and you don't want to go any further than the other room.
Sometimes it rains. It's been raining a lot.
Yeah,
recently.
Unusually for LA.
Right, exactly. So that's always nice to have that.
All right. So when you started out, you had been a summer associate at our firm, although albeit remote.
Yeah.
Both summers in Korea.
Yes, both summers in Korea.
So when you first started as official 1L 6 months ago, was there a certain amount of trepidation or uncertainty about what does this job entail? What's expected of me? That sort of thing?
Definitely. I mean, it's my first job. I graduated college and I went straight to law school, and I came straight to Quinn. So there was just a lot of fear and uncertainty, especially there's a gravity to big law, I think, and sort of the weight that you feel when you first step in, and you see all these names that you're representing, and you're sort of like, wow,
I got clients.
Yeah,
I'm a lawyer, I have clients.
How do I act? People are depending on me.
I remember
for the
that
first
feeling.
time. You're right, yeah, and it's like I've never been I've never had that much, power, I guess, over people or sort of influence where my decisions matter, and I think that was pretty scary for me. But it's been a really nice growing experience because the people here have been sort of walking me through that experience.
Over the last 6 months, have the flutters kind of gone away, the trepidation gone away? Are you more comfortable in the role now?
Yeah, definitely. I think what really helped was just working really closely with the partners, which is something I didn't expect because, I grew up in Korea, so culturally in Korea, we're very bureaucratic. We have a lot of sort of layers between sort of like the upper partners and then the first years. So when I first came in, my first case was with just 2 partners and me. So I was kind of like, wow, there's no barrier between me and the partner. And that was really, really helpful because they sort of walked me through everything. And they're like, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay if you do this one way or another, and they were very, very patient. And I sort of started to realize that, oh, I can do this. You know, this is not the end of the world. I can handle certain things, and you know, they sort of fed me.
We never had any doubt.
Yeah,
I want you to
you
know
know.
that. We never had any doubt.
I had my doubts, but now that you made it clear, I feel great. But yeah, they just sort of fed me small things at a time, you know, like, hey, this is, you know, your first client call, or like, this is your first email, this is your first sort of drafting of a brief. And that process really just helped me. And I think now I'm pretty comfortable just operating on my own and taking care of cases.
What kinds of things have you done? You mentioned writing a brief. What types of legal activities have you gotten involved in?
Yeah, a lot of legal writing, especially discovery motions. I mean, I think my first month here, I got to write my ex parte motion for a pretty important case, and you know, we got a favorable result, so that was incredible. I just didn't at the time. I was like, man, like you're asking me to do this, but you know, they really walked me through it, and I was able to get a draft out, and they reviewed everything, and we got a favorable outcome. So a lot of writing, a lot of client calls that I wasn't expecting to be involved in either. They're really good about having us join, I think, and to sort of get that exposure. And now a lot of people, like a lot of the clients I work with, I've met them, you know, personally. I know their names, and you know, I change emails back and forth. I've also been helping out with depositions, prepping the binder, and they get very thick, right? So preparing all of that, and you know, second chairing. So it's been a lot of legal experience, but you know, I've only been here 6 months, so I'm looking forward to more in the future.
So you've sat in on some depositions and been the second chair?
I haven't been a second chair, but I've prepped a lot, and I've sat remotely on some. But this upcoming month in May, I think I might be second chairing. Fingers crossed. So hopefully that goes well.
What are you really looking forward to?
I think my first motion or argument in front of the court, I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. You know, when I was a little kid thinking about being a lawyer, that's sort of where I imagined myself, you know, in front of a judge, you know, arguing. And I haven't done that yet. I mean, obviously, I just graduated law school. So I think that's going to be a big milestone for me, and I'm really excited to do that. And, you know, people have been talking to me about their first experiences and how to get ready. So when the time comes, I'll hopefully be ready and do a good job.
I'm sure you will. Can you give us some idea, just maybe just by subject matter, without going into identifying clients and the like, but by subject matter, the kinds of cases that you've been involved in? Yeah,
so I do a lot of class action cases. It just happened like that. I think when I joined, I got to work with one partner particularly, and he was really good about sort of getting me plugged into a bunch of different class actions. And so I've gotten a very wide sort of survey of class action, and I really like it. I think it's really fun. There's a lot of close-up discovery that I think you otherwise wouldn't find in other cases. And just the facts in the law are so complex, and it changes every day, right? And so that's been really fun. Also got my share of copyright cases as well. That's sort of what I wanted to do when I first came in.
Copyright in particular?
Yeah, copyright. I mean, I unfortunately don't have like a hard science background, but I really enjoy electronics. I enjoy technology. I enjoy video games. So I was excited to get plugged into a copyright case, and that was actually one of my first cases. So that's been also really fun, and some employment cases as well. Yeah.
So there's a variety of different things.
Definitely.
How many different cases do you think you worked on in the last 6 months, approximately?
Yeah, so it started slow with 2-3 cases. I was juggling it pretty nicely, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think I worked on about 9 cases in the past 6 months. I'm still actively involved in a lot of them, but yeah, I think one of the biggest surprises for me is just how many different types of cases there are at this firm, right? And when I imagined myself in big law, I sort of thought that I would have to specialize or sort of be shoehorned into one category, but I've been able to really just dance around different types of cases and different types of legal actions, and gotten my share. It's like a buffet. It's like a very nice buffet. And
Seems like it's probably a good way to learn. See
yeah,
a lot of variety
definitely,
of different
definitely.
things.
Right. And because all the partners have their own unique styles, they have their own sort of unique experiences that they teach you. It's been really good to just get bits and pieces from everyone.
Have there been any moments where you thought for a minute, well, wait a second, this is too much. I'm at the edge of being overwhelmed here. Like maybe there was more being asked than you thought maybe you could deliver?
It's interesting because it's my first job, right? So I really didn't have a sense of how much I could handle. And I think it was when I started to have a lot of cases. And there was one day in particular where a lot of things were due for all of them. So it was like a Friday, and we had to get a lot of things filed. And admittedly, I was a little hesitant at first and overwhelmed, but I think what I've learned the most being here at Quinn is that I think we all sort of have the ability to get it done, and you just have to have a little bit of a push, right? And people to sort of guide you through that, right? And sometimes, the guiding might be a little rough, might be a little, like a mother bird pushing baby bird out the nest, right? But, I think at the end of the day, like I was able to fly, and I'm still here. I survived, right?
Well, it sounds like you're not just surviving. It sounds like you're flourishing.
Well, I don't know yet, but I'm definitely trying my best. And I think I'm less concerned about the results of my work, and I'm just focused really on learning and just getting good feedback. And I think that's sort of been my focus. And I think the results have sort of just followed naturally from that. I think during my first couple weeks, I've talked to a lot of people, and one of the best advice I received was to stop worrying, so much about everything, right? Because you're like, oh, deadline.
Good lawyers are always worriers.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I have this tendency to like double check and triple check and check again, right? But what I've learned was to sort of be confident in the work that you produce and to not worry about too many things that you can't control, and to just focus on what you're doing, and that's what I've been doing.
So far, are you glad you made this decision to be a lawyer?
Very, very, very glad. It's been my dream since I was a little kid to be a lawyer, and I wanted to be at Quinn since I first heard about it when I started law school, and even the website was just different, right? Your website's just colorful, and I haven't really seen a lot of green in law firms. I'm really glad I got to make this decision, especially joining a firm that does litigation, right? I think there were a lot of moments in law school where I sort of was wavering between, do I really want to do litigation or do I want to do M&A? And I think there was a little bit of fear because if I joined Quinn Emanuel, it would just be litigation, right? But I think it's one of the best choices I've made because I've been loving the work so far. It's challenging, but it's definitely been fun.
What I like most about it is in litigation, you're always learning. You're learning about a new industry, a new type of problem, intellectual problem. We go to I always say that you take contract law in law school, for a semester, and you think you understand it. Yeah. And then you spend your whole career seeing new contract problems, things that you hadn't thought of.
That's exactly
It just seems to be inexhaustible.
Yep.
In terms of the different,
Definitely.
Combinations and scenarios that can arise.
I think it's sort of like a tradition now where when I get a new case, I spend the first couple of days just digging into it, right? Just learning about the technology or learning about like the case matter and just researching about like the law, and especially because I'm involved in so many different types. I've just gotten to learn so much, right? And I think it's been helpful just talking to people like, hey, did you know about this or that? And talking to other lawyers, it's been really fun. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think one of the most enjoyable parts about litigating is just you're learning new things every day. You're not sort of shoehorned into something.
I wouldn't give up on the patent work. We have a lot of patent litigators that don't have hard science backgrounds.
Yeah, I'm secretly studying it a little bit in the background. So hopefully in the future I can join, because I know Quinn's fantastic. They have a fantastic patent team. So in the future, once my side studying progresses, I'd love to join and be part of the team.
Well, I'm sure there'll be an opportunity for you. I'm also sure that we're not perfect, or there's some things that you think we could do better in terms of bringing new first-year associates along and making them comfortable at the firm.
Yeah, so I think initially obviously I think there was a lot of flux because of COVID, right? And we were trying to figure out, how this would work. And I think initially when I first joined, I thought there would be a little more hand-holding. Like I was like, hey, someone like I don't know if I could do this alone, right? So I think initially
maybe a more formal onboarding process.
Yeah, something
for
like
newbies.
that. I think what's been really helpful recently, and this has been implemented, and we just had this for lunch today. We have these monthly associate meetings where sort of the associates gather and sort of the senior associates share their experience, and they tell us, what to avoid and what to try to do. That wasn't there, I think, when I first joined. But now that it's there, it's been very helpful because I think especially when you're doing work from home or when you're very plugged into a law case, you feel isolated a little bit because you're just working so hard on the case. And you sometimes feel like there isn't someone you can reach out to for questions you wouldn't want to normally ask, like to a partner or something like that, right? So it's been really nice to have an associate group that just talks me through everything, and they tell me like, hey, deadlines, this is how you handle it. Motions, this is how you handle it. So that's been very helpful, and I'm really glad that it was implemented.
Well, I appreciate that suggestion. I'm sure there are areas for improvement. Homin, it's been great to see you again, and great to talk to you. Thanks for participating in this.
No, thank you for having me. I'm honored. I hope I did a good job representing the first years. But it's been good to see you again. It's been 2 years, and
Exactly.
I'm really happy to see you. Yeah.
Great to see you as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for everything you're doing for our firm.
Thank you. Thank you for
our
having me.
clients.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This is John Quinn. We've been talking with Homin Ban, a first-year associate in our Los Angeles office. This has been Law Disrupted.